And we are live. Hey, everyone, welcome to Hack Shack Studios. I'm RT Bear, 35-year comic book veteran working for Marvel, DC, little upstart called Image Comics. But enough about me. We have Clint Hilinski. I said it right. Hilinski on the chat, man. And we are going to be talking some Sea Dog and codename Kill Switch. Yes. Perhaps the greatest comic, second only to, say, Black and White and Chrono Mechanics.
I would say it's 1, 2, and 3, right in that kind of order.
It's like the 1, 2. It's like the 1, 2, 3 punch. I don't know. We're inventing something new here. You've heard the 1, 2, but no, it's the 1.
No, you got to wait for the third one to come through, and then.
And the thing about
the knockout.
Yeah, the third one is you never see it coming.
Exactly.
Just comes out of nowhere. So, man, it's good to have you on the show, brother. We have mutual friends with Mark Poulton, and I believe he is the writer of your book.
Yep, absolutely. Mark was kind of my gateway into Comicsgate, as it were. Exactly. Mark is kind of a gateway drug. I was very interested in everything that was going on with Comicsgate, but from the outside didn't know much about it. And I'd seen Mark's name, and I had done work with Mark at Arcana probably about 10 years ago. And I think he was involved editorially when I was doing The Greatest American Hero. And then he had done some other stuff with me through there, but it was like peripheral, I knew his name from those days. We had worked together. And so when I saw he wrote Graveyard Shift with John Malin, and how amazing that book had done, I was like, I should touch bases with Mark again and just see what's going on. So that was the beginning of Sea Dog and codename Kill Switch.
Had you ever done a indie book before this?
Yeah, I've been doing Kickstarters probably about the last 5 years. I've done a handful of Kickstarter books in between just freelancing and stuff. It's just like, you have a back burner book and then you throw up a Kickstarter and you do that. So I had done a lot of stuff on Kickstarter, but I had seen what Comicsgate was doing over on Indiegogo, and I just didn't know that much about Indiegogo to begin with, because Kickstarter was my first, that's where I put out the first books, and they're definitely different. So it's like with all these indie books and sure, yeah.
But I first want to I'm going to write this down so we can come back to it. But I think what we need to do is back up a little bit and get some background on you, and then people kind of have a little bit more of, they'll understand where we're going with this, because you're a very talented penciler. Are you inking your own work at this point?
Yeah, 99% I get to ink myself, because I've never run a project where they can afford an inker. Okay.
So, well, let's go to the beginning. I mean, obviously, you've drawn all your life. That's usually how these things happen.
Exactly.
Love comic book as a kid. But as far as the professional aspects, when did you break in and all the particulars there?
You bet. It was probably about 97, 98 on the tail end of the 90s comics, and then the market kind of falling out. I picked just as perfect a time as I possibly could.
You had the promise of what could have been, and
oh God, I could see it. I could see it.
Almost.
As an inker, do you know Andrew Peepoy?
Yeah. He actually beat me out on Heroes for Hire. I think.
Oh God.
No, it was. Oh my gosh, it was an X project. Yeah, but he beat me out on that. Yeah.
Any edit? Well, Andrew's a fine gentleman and a nice guy, but any editor who picked Andrew over you should be instantly fired. Yeah. Andrew explained to me like how much I missed the window by. He looked at my artwork and looked at my inks, and he's like, "Oh man, 5 years ago, you would have been the cat's meow." But yeah, the market kind of cratered. But no, I 97, 98, probably within 1 year, I did a Justice League story for Dan Raspler. That was my first like big DC gig. I did Xena Warrior Princess for Scott Alley at Dark Horse, and I was working with Joyce Chin, which was really cool.
Yeah,
And
she's good.
just oh, it was such a fun project, and she was so nice.
Very
And
cartoony,
then,
kind of Art Adamsy.
yeah, yeah. It's weird how she's influenced by Art Adams and married to him too.
It is weird, yeah. It's very strange. How did that happen?
And then that summer of 97, 98, somewhere right in there.
Yeah, I need to back up. Isn't there an
Yep.
Art Adams Xena Warrior Princess that she penciled and he inked? Did you work on that book?
I worked on that book. It
Man,
was like a beautiful cover.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a gorgeous cover. She penciled it, he inked it. It was just, yeah.
I think that's
it was very cool. I mean,
that's when she was she first got on my radar with that cover, and I was like, wow, this is something going on here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was obviously a huge Art Adams fan, as anybody who actually knows anything about comics is. So it was very cool to be doing Xena Warrior Princess and then having basically an Art Adams cover on the book that I was doing. So, and then I think it was that summer, Wizard World Chicago. I showed my portfolio to a gentleman you might know a little bit, Rob Liefeld. And
Never
Rob, never heard of him. Yeah. I showed Rob my portfolio, and he looked at it, and he stuck out his hand. And he gave me a big handshake, and he said, "Welcome to Image Comics."
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, what year was this? Was this still late, like 97, 98?
Yeah, it'd be 97, 98. I can't remember exactly, but it was right in there.
So the bottom was fully
gone,
right?
So literally, when Rob gave me the handshake, he was selling illegal ash cans of Captain America at Wizard World across the row from Marvel, where the comics hadn't even come out yet.
That's awesome.
Classic Rob.
You got to make money while the thing's hot, right?
Oh yeah, and I mean, people were eating it up, and I mean, he was making bank at that convention, I'm sure. And Marvel at that point was like, whatever, let's just get him on a book. So yeah, while I was sending him samples, I'd occasionally get an email from Eric Stevenson, I think. And while I was sending him samples, I think Rob got kicked out of Image. Started, and you might remember the order better than me, but it was Extreme Studios, and it was Maximum Press, and then it was
I was out by then, man. I was one of the first rats.
one of the smart ones.
Yeah, I was like, the bottom's falling out, the ship's sinking. I'm going back to Marvel. Yeah.
No, he went through 3 publishing names, and then, but somehow, all of a sudden, and I later found this out, but all of a sudden, I was getting emails, and they were sending me scripts, and start doing pages, and I did get published in Youngblood, so I did pages in Youngblood, got to do some work, and that was another one. I think Justice League and Youngblood came out within the same year, so in 1 year there, I did those books, and that was kind of a big deal for me. And then from then, I've just been one of these guys who's kind of not worked for the big two too much, but I've worked for pretty much everybody else. I mean, Arcana, Avatar, Devil's Due, Image, G.I. Joe, Voltron, Kiss, Greatest American Hero, Xena, Lady Death. I mean, I've kind of bebopped around the small press publishers just about as much as you possibly can.
Who was publishing the Kiss comic when you worked on it?
It was Arcana, and it was Platinum. I was working for Platinum for a little bit there with
license. I didn't know they had the license. That was after the Odd years, the Psycho Circus years.
It was after the Psycho Circus stuff because I was actually talking to Scott Alley when Dark Horse had it, and I mean Gene moved that Kiss license around every publisher that he could. I think. I mean there was 5 or 6 different publishers that putting out Kiss books.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I mean, they all kind of blur together for me, so I don't remember exactly which.
I'm a Kiss fan. So how many issues did you do?
I think I only did 3 issues before they actually lost the license for whatever reason. I mean,
Do you have any of that artwork?
no, that was also.
Oh, Gene buys it all, right? The deal is
No. That was the weird thing is Gene. I was told Gene gets all his original artwork back, and that's why the stuff is worth.
right.
But for whatever the screwed up deal was that they had with the publisher, and when they lost the imprint, I was just sitting there with Kiss artwork, and that stuff sold. And those were the days when I was selling artwork, not holding on to it.
Oh my gosh! So you sold all 3 issues worth of Kiss artwork?
Oh yeah, I don't have any of it left anymore.
Because it was rare, right? I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, I'd go to a convention. Xena and Kiss flew off the shelves for me. Like those were good weekends for me when I had to go home after conventions for those. I was like, holy crap, I need to do more work on those books. So
yeah, it's got a good fan base.
oh, absolutely. I mean, Kiss. The Kiss Army is out there, and they're at comic conventions. Exactly.
Gene said this,
and I was a Kiss fan from a little kid. What was I mean? Not the hardcore, but like I had a Kiss vinyl record when I was like 10 years old, which was the one with their 4 faces. It was like divided into 4, and then each of their faces was on the album cover.
Dynasty.
Yeah, and they were in makeup still.
Yeah, I think it's the Dynasty album.
That was like the vinyl record I had in like 1979 as like an 8-year-old.
Yeah. So, well, I wasn't 8 when I got that.
No, you probably had me by a little bit.
I was a little older than you. Yeah.
Well, like to me, Kiss looked like superheroes, and that's what I loved. And then they had their Kiss comic in the 70s. So
I think the Dynasty stuff, those guys were even wearing capes at that time. So they were definitely superheroes. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that was absolutely 100%. I was like, this looks awesome.
Yeah. So you're working on Kiss, you're working on Xena Warrior, Transformers, all these books. Are we still talking late 90s, right? 98?
Yeah, late 90s. I'll give you, because now that I know you're a Kiss fan, I'll give you one Gene story. So I'm at it's Wizard World Chicago. I'm at the Dark Horse booth. I had done Xena with Scott Alley. So Scott Alley's there. They've got the Kiss license.
That's
so
Dark Horse, right?
Dark Horse, yep. So Gene is at the table signing comics for fans and whatnot. And I'm talking to the editor, and I'm like, Gene Simmons, this is pretty cool. And he's like, no, it's not really that great. I'm like, why? What's going on? He's like Gene seems pretty cool. And he's like, Gene is amazing to all the fans. He's like, anybody who works for the company, that he just assumes they work for him, and he treats them like trash. So I'm kind of chuckling about this, and Gene standing like 5 feet away from me signing books. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny, but I get it. He's a rock star. So there was a Playboy Playmate that was signing at the convention. This girl was probably a good 100 yards away from us, and I see her coming because she was hard to miss. So she starts jogging across the convention floor because she sees Gene.
You mean bouncing?
She's literally like shoving fanboys out of her way, and yeah, everything is going in nice motion. And she was all over Gene for the rest of the show, and I was like, that's why it's better to be a rock star than a comic book star. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I remember. Oh my gosh, Kevin Conrad would talk about the Kiss stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think, yeah, he did Psycho Circus.
Okay.
And,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, he had a little run-in with Gene too. That's how come I knew that Gene pretty much would have like a buyout agreement, right, where he'd get all the artwork back,
Yep.
and that he pretty much controlled the publishing pretty tightly.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
same thing when you guys were doing it at working on the book at Dark Horse.
Well, I did it at Platinum or Arcana, but
Oh, I thought you said. Oh, you said Scott Alley.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I knew him, but I wasn't working on the book at that point when I saw Gene. I worked on the book after the fact. Yeah.
Scott Alley's Dark Horse, though, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I had heard that same thing as like Gene gets all the art, and like I was fully prepared to like ship stuff off, and then everything just kind of imploded, and I was like, okay.
Well, Clint, the reason I lit up because I was thinking like I could buy some Kiss artwork off.
Oh,
of you.
believe me, I would love nothing better to sell you some right now, but it has went the way of many comic book pages for all of us, I would imagine.
Yeah, of the Dodo. Yeah,
Oh.
I wish I still had some of the
I would have
pages and Jim Lee pages. And,
I would have traded you every Kiss page I had for one Jim Lee X-Men page. I would have just like here, and then here's some cash too.
all 3 issues. Yeah, you did 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's I don't have that in my resume. I kind of wish I've had
that's the only thing I got you on.
Well, yeah, yeah, you know, that still would be cool. I would like to do not a long run, you know, like but maybe an issue, maybe a couple covers would be fun.
Oh,
to do.
yeah.
Does Dynamite has the license now, right?
Gene is always floating the license out there, so I'm sure there's a book going on somewhere. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna interrupt quick. Did you see if Mark could get a wrench at all? I haven't been following the chat. We got off sidetracked.
Let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this go live and see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. If you're, it looks like you're listening. Can you post and see if you can post links, or do you need a wrench?
I think he needs a wrench for it to be an active link.
Right.
You're showing up here. Let me see if I click this. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. There are my 3 dots. Let's see if we can do this. Participants, pop out chat, and toggle time. What is that? None of these.
So if there's no wrench, I think that's where you have to open it up a separate YouTube tab. That's what I was told before.
No, I do. Like, you know, the 3 dots that you told me to click on.
Sure.
I did, but it says participants. So is that like is that a wrench? Is that what that means?
I think it's an actual wrench from what everyone's told me, and now I don't see any live chat anymore.
Because it says participants, RT Bear, Mark Poulton is here. I don't know how to give him a wrench though.
That's where I think it actually has to be in the YouTube. You have to have your YouTube tab opened up separately from StreamYard.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah, it's working.
Oh, you're in YouTube?
Yeah, I am in YouTube right now, but I can't find the this is interesting YouTubing right now. Yeah, I can't find the wrench. Participants. Okay, I'm back in the chat.
You can try participants.
Oh wait, okay. Remove, put time. You know what? I'm gonna put Mark in a timeout.
Go for it.
Here it is. Mark Poulton is now moderator for your channel.
Oh, there. That should probably work.
Let me see if I go back. So Mark, you should be a mod. So don't abuse your power unless you're going off the deep end. and put some links for, like we said, probably the third best book in the industry right now.
Exactly.
Third, only Black and White and Chrono Mechanics.
Oh,
so
there, Mark jumped on it right away. Look at him go.
Yeah, we'll get into Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch, but I want to give people a little bit of backstory about you and what you all about, so they can kind of get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
So keep going. So it's still late 90s.
Late 90s. I think so. I'd done Justice League. I had drawn Youngblood. I had drawn Xena Warrior Princess. So I just worked for Image, DC, and Dark Horse within about 2 years. I'm like, all right. And I was probably like 23 or 24 or something. I'm like, here goes the career. And then the comic book industry, you were part of it. You know what happened in probably like 98 to 2000 is sales just, everything dropped out.
I think it started dropping even before that. It was
yeah, I jumped in as it was falling.
Yeah, I think by 96 I was pretty much full-time at Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in my mid-20s, so I didn't care. I was drawing comics and taking whatever gigs I could get. And probably early 2000s, somewhere in there, I started working for Avatar and Arcana and Devil's Due a lot. Like, if there was a small press company from like 2000 to 2010, I'm sure I worked for them. The only company I've never worked for is Marvel. I did trading cards, like live sketch art on trading cards. That was through Dave Campiti. Familiar with him?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yep. I worked for Dave Campiti for a while. He was my agent for a little bit, and I did trading cards where you'd get like a sketch card with original art on it, and that'd be like the extra special thing in the package. That's the only thing I ever did for Marvel. But that was early 2000, somewhere in there. Otherwise, I worked for Devil's Due for a long time. I was good friends with Tim Seeley, and Tim got in there early. Knew Josh Blaylock when they got the G.I. Joe license. So I did a bunch of stuff for Devil's Due. Voltron. I did a little bit of G.I. Joe. I did covers for G.I. Joe. And then Josh had some original concepts that I worked on with him. So, and then Avatar, I worked for a huge chunk of when Brian Pulido, after he had lost the Lady Death license to CrossGen. I can't remember exactly how it worked out, but he didn't have the Lady Death how was it? Because he got it back while I was working at Avatar, because I drew Lady Death at Avatar. Man, I don't even remember.
Was publishing Lady Death? I didn't know that.
Yeah, for a while, Pulido had left CrossGen, and somehow he had managed to get the Lady Death license back from CrossGen before CrossGen imploded. And then he took it to Avatar. And I'd worked for William Christensen at Avatar for a while before that, too. And so they relaunched this whole new Pulido universe that was separate from Chaos, because he didn't own any of the other Chaos characters. And then
he lost all of them.
Yep, exactly. So they created this character called Belladonna. And so I was the artist on Belladonna for the first mini-series, and I don't even remember how long it lasted. So that was actually a really cool thing. We're working with Pulido on that, and there was like a launch of a brand new character in a brand new universe, and then we did crossover stuff, Lady Death versus Belladonna and all that kind of stuff. So I worked on some art for that.
So you've been working in the industry for 23 years, 23,
Since
24.
90, I would say I've been solidly working since 97.
Okay.
Barely ever working for the...
You didn't just fall off the turnip truck yesterday.
No.
You've been pushing a pencil for a while now. Yeah.
I've been grinding.
That's pretty cool. You know what the best part about this industry is? You've been working for 23 years and it took us this long to cross, paths. Like that's pretty amazing to think about, how long we've both been doing this and it took this long to connect. So that's also the fun part about, this industry. Okay, so now you're in early 2000s. So you're doing Lady Death and what else?
Let's see. So I'm trying now I have to work my memory, and I have the worst memory out there.
Let me back up for 1 minute. Sure. You were penciling and inking yourself?
Everything. Like I don't know if I've worked on a project where I've had like a real inker.
So are you working with the traditional tools?
Microns.
Oh, okay.
I was a micron guy. I never managed to figure out crow quills. I know. But you should see what I can do with a micron that makes it look just like a crow quill.
I've already seen some of your work. Yeah, the stuff that you're doing on Sea Dog and Kill Switch is pretty amazing.
That's all digital.
Oh, you're digitally inking on that?
Everything on Sea Dog and Codenamed Kill Switch is digital. I switched over 2 years ago. Art, there is no better feeling than erasing a digital line of ink work.
Because you feel no connection to it?
After 20 years of just like, don't mess up. Don't mess up. I don't want to use whiteout. I don't want to fix this in Photoshop.
Yeah. Well, you know how I still ink traditionally, but
I'm sure.
But I kind of it's more freeing because I don't really care if I make a mistake because I'll scan it and I'll fix it digitally, and I can fix it digitally way better than I could by hand. So that's where Photoshop works out for me. But on the upside is I make less mistakes because I'm not all uptight about making mistakes.
It loosens you up so much.
Yeah. It's a nice fallback that I very rarely use.
Yeah. Once you start scanning yourself and have Photoshop as an inker, it's like, well, if I screw up, I can fix it. It's not a big deal.
There's a disconnect from it. It's like, you can fix it, change it, augment it.
I hated whiteout, and I hated like putting a little piece of paper, like relining. I still wake up and have nightmares about that.
Well, it depends on how badly you mess up too.
Well,
do you remember seeing some? I don't know. I'm an older guy than you, but like old Marvel pages would have this like paper that you could actually tape down, right? And then they would redraw it and ink over, like, I guess it was kind of like pseudo Bristol board. So some of those old pages, you'd see like whole patches of stuff.
Some of the old pages, I'm like, wow. Like, I mean, there was like, there was no scanning and fixing anything in Photoshop. It was getting fixed right there. And they were using whatever they could.
I don't know how they did this because old paper, old boards, the old way we did it, boys and girls, was like the penciler would pencil the book, pencil the book, and then it would be the letterer who worked on it second. It wasn't the inker. And then they
pasted up letter balloons. Some of them are just like
pasted up, dude. It was on the board. It wasn't pasted up. Those guys were doing it on the board itself. So it was all one piece. But what the letterer would do, I don't know why they did this, and I don't know why it didn't scan, or however they were doing the artwork, I guess taking photos of it or whatever and doing plates and negatives. But they would do their guidelines all the way across the whole panel. Go over faces and backgrounds and everything. So when I get these pages, well, I know why it didn't photograph, because I had to freaking erase it. Now is sometimes you'd be like trying to figure out what is the penciler's line when you're inking and what is the letterer's line, because like, especially if it was like a perspective or lines that went parallel with the letterers
Did
lines.
they just put the grid in the background and this is the perspective? Or?
Yeah, you couldn't tell like what was the letters guidelines and what was actually penciled from the penciler himself.
All of a sudden there's a sidewalk line behind the character and it's like, well, he's not even in the city. Oh, I guess the letter left that in there.
Well, now the sidewalk, whatever. Yeah.
This is a good segue for me to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Now I know your heyday, and I mean X-Men, Jim Lee, your work on Dan Jurgens is some of my favorite stuff. I have a specific issue I want to ask you about with Dan Jurgens. I'll just say LexCorp in the Danger Room.
Oh, the LexCorp stickers. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Truly awesome.
It was so blurring because I think I was inking 3 different books a month at the time. So I was inking Dan Jurgens on Adventures of Superman. I was inking Jim Lee. I believe those were Uncanny books, right? That the Danger Room.
Yeah, I was Uncanny.
Yeah, and then I think I was either inking Walter Simonson or Art Adams. So those 3 books or guys I was inking. So it was all just.
So they put you on like all the low rung guys, just like these guys just started out.
But at the time, I had no idea what any books were selling. I was just having fun, right? So Mike Carlin thought it would be cool to do these like rub-on decal type things, and they said LexCorp on them when I was working on the Superman books. So all the Superman artists got these like rub-ons. So God, I wish I had a sheet. It was like Letraset and Zipatone, and they had these sheets. Yeah, but I think this was a rub-on one. It wasn't like a stick like Zipatone. And so I just thought it would be a hoot to actually have LexCorp affect the Marvel universe. So like some of the cards
was so subtle and it was genius.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sure the editor like didn't even know it.
Right over the head. Yeah. So the fun thing is that I just put him in and no one really said anything. So I kept going. So like anything that was a machine, like a car or anything, it had like the LexCorp like logo on it. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. No, I was one of the fanboys reading all your stuff and I was like, God, Dan Jurgens all of a sudden looks freaking awesome.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, our T-Bear. Well, at that point, I was very Dilbert. I was thinking him, but
it was very Dilbert-ish.
Yeah. No, there was all of a sudden there was a noticeable, and I mean Brett Breeding is a fine inker, and Dan and him did great work. But like all of a sudden, I was reading Dan's stuff, and I was like, damn, Dan Jurgens looks really good in this issue, and I think that was mostly you.
I like to just. I used to call it the cool factor because there's a lot of people that can do like very technical stuff and make things look really good. But I was always like, well, let's make it cool. Let's like bring it up a notch and not only just make it technically, good, but to try to make it fun and more interesting. So, and I was real fortunate because I was doing finishes over Dan Jurgens. So I was given a lot of leeway. So I was given breakdowns. And I remember my roommate's John Moore, and he's Howard Chaykin's writing partner, or was at the time.
Cool.
And so the Chaykin studio was legendary. So I used to hang out there a lot. And I remember talking to Howard, and I was like, finishing, like, what do I really do? I understand that this, it isn't quite complete, but what exactly are my parameters? And he said, he goes, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he said that, I was like, oh shit, I can do anything.
Yeah.
So much fun. Yeah. So the skies was the limit. So I just did anything I thought of, and whatever influenced me at the time, I brought into the work, because all those like Acura lines and stuff like that were in there. And that's all me. Yeah. I wasn't putting that in there. And I think that's probably how I got to be a blip on the Jim Lee, Will Spartaccio, because they were kind of influenced by the Japanese, comic art too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
kind of bringing those influences into mainstream comics about the same time. So yeah, it was good fun, man.
No, and I mean, I've followed Dan Jurgens. I'm a huge fan of his, but like Dan is like a solid storyteller, but Dan is not afraid to leave stuff there for the inker to like Dan will throw down what you need, but Dan will also like leave stuff there for the inker to kind of have some fun with this. And I remember this was the issue that I had mentioned earlier, and it's just there's nothing super special about this issue, but I just loved it. Superman had lost his powers, and he was fighting Mammoth, and he got hung upside down with the rope. And
Superman lost his powers, right, or something.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. You inked that issue. I don't know why I love that issue. It's just a beautiful, beautiful comic and a great story. So
you and Dan some serious devastation in that book. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Superman's costume was all torn, and he had like kind of a bulletproof vest underneath or something like that. It was very neat. You guys did a hell of a job on that. It was a great looking book.
Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. But let's focus back on you. Let's put that.
Oh, sure. I like I said, I told you I'm probably gonna have more questions for you. I'll forget about talking about my own book because this is a treat for me.
Yeah. Well, no problem, man. But I want to get to the book you guys have out right now. But I definitely want people to who Clint is and what you're all about. So at this point, this early 2000s, and you're bopping around on what at this point?
Like I would say the majority of the 2000s, it was Arcana, Avatar, and Devil's Due. Like those three companies were keeping me busy. I was drawing for Arcana, and Sean O'Reilly. He was a great guy. Actually, that is how me and Mark Polton met, is through Sean O'Reilly at Arcana. So that's kind of a good point with Sea Dog and codename Kill Switch. But I got to draw The Greatest American Hero, the old TV show, which I was like 8 years old, 7 years old. Like that was the show. There wasn't very many superhero shows on TV. Loved that show.
That's the perfect age too, man.
Yep.
It's like
it was.
Yeah, this is cool stuff.
It was so awesome. It would frustrate the hell out of me that he couldn't figure out how to use his powers properly, but I tuned in every week. But so this was
kind of ahead of the curve too, with that kind of, this guy out of the blue gets this power, and then there's like this guy that's going to mentor him and stuff like that. You see that a lot, but that was the first time I had ever seen an idea like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a great concept, and the Cannell, obviously, was it Stephen J. Cannell, who like wrote so many great TV shows.
Yeah.
So how it all came about was what was his name? The blonde guy, Katz. They basically were trying to kind of relaunch The Greatest American Hero to get like media or new movie rights or TV shows going off of it. And so they had gotten the rights to do a comic book version of it from Stephen J. Cannell. So I got put on the book. I drew the first issue, and I got this is every comic book artist's dream. They flew me out to San Diego, and it was the cast of the original show there.
Ooh.
And so they were doing a panel at San Diego Con to try and spark interest in kind of.
Oh my gosh, how long ago was that? Robert Culp, right?
Robert Culp was still alive. This was probably 2008-ish.
Yeah, I talked to him at that show. He had a little booth and everything. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we probably brushed against each other because I was at that booth signing the book.
Okay, cool.
Connie Selica, still
smoking.
I mean, she was a lovely, lovely woman. Yeah. And then I'm forgetting it. Is it William Katz?
I want Bill Katz. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's William Katz. Yeah.
Yeah, William Katz. And
And
I mean,
I have to back up because that hair, I like to ink hair textures and different types of hair. That must have been a blast, right? Because it's like the curl and then the curl the other way, right? It's the line in and then the line around it, line in, around, right? That's how you kind of do it, right?
you're just setting me up because this was what frustrated me so badly as a fan of the show. So I got this book and I got the old DVDs and I freeze framing and looking. I'm like, he's got that mop of hair. It's his signature look. I'm like looking and referencing. I'm just drawing the crap out of it. All the curls that you're just talking about.
Yeah,
I start sending in the art. So this was William Katz's project. He was like overseeing everything because he wanted this to turn into some sort of second little gig for him. Like he wanted to get on a show again. So the one thing William Katz hated about the original show was his hair.
oh no, that's the coolest. I think it's cool, man.
I did too. It was like that was like part of the outfit. It was like your
Yeah.
signature look. So
Yeah.
like I referenced the crap out of it. I drew his hair the way it looked on the original show. And he's like, no. We're setting this in the modern era. Nobody would have that haircut. Like I want, and then he like literally sent me pictures of himself currently of how his hairstyle was.
Right.
He's like, I want everything to look like modern day current hairstyle. We're updating everything. I'm like, right then I knew it's like, dude, you're missing the point of what people love about this. Like
Yeah.
you're being a little narrow minded on like why people love this show. So like
Well,
I literally had to go back, cut and paste, redo all the hair because this was before digital. So
how many pages were you into?
I first issue was done.
Oh
So yeah,
God.
so I bet you there was more than half of the book had him in it. There was some Robert Culp pages and some spaceship pages, but yeah, redid the hair on every issue, and it was a little took a little bit of the wind out of my sails because he was. It's hilarious because you hear the cliched Hollywood sci-fi stars, and like he was as stereotypical genre Hollywood sci-fi star as could be, because he like nitpicked everything. He was really concerned about stuff that didn't seem super important instead of looking at the big picture. And it was just about trying to get some attention back onto this so maybe he could get onto another show or something.
I just thought like the hair kind of fit because he just seemed he didn't seem like a hero. Like the hair actually added to the reluctant hero, just average Joe guy. Like he didn't fit the stereotype. He looked like
Absolutely.
a hero. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that was like not everybody super self-aware, but it was like I think that's what bothered him. He didn't want to be like the nerdy high school teacher guy. He
Right.
wanted to be the hero. And it's like what makes you cool, what made the show was you weren't like this big muscular Superman hero. It was like so
And
it
actually,
wasn't
the character was Robert Culp's character.
Robert Culp. Robert Culp was awesome.
Yeah.
And he's exactly in real life like he was on the show.
I talked to him at that convention that we were talking to. Yeah, he was awesome.
It was like you were waiting for him to just kind of grab you by the neck and be like, "Hey, kid, go get me this or that." And it's like, "You bet, Mr. Culp."
I'll teach you to fly.
Exactly. No, and I mean the whole show was so much fun, and I got to meet the whole cast as being a fan as a little kid, and 20 years later getting to meet these people. As beautiful as Connie Selick was, she was twice as nice. Just an amazingly lovely woman. Getting to spend a little bit of time with them was like just like that's one of my comic book highlights from the weird comic book career that I've had. That was like super fun experience for me. So that's 2008, and then doing some stuff for Arcana. Zenoscope, I did a little bit for Zenoscope. We won't go into that because I don't have tons of great things to say about it. at some point, a publisher, not saying any names, stiffed me on a couple of things, and had to get a little side job, which, occasionally I would have a side job being a freelancer. So there's about 9 months of that, of like no comic book work, then started getting work again. And then Kickstarter, I started hearing about Kickstarter online. I hadn't heard about Indiegogo yet, but I'd heard about Kickstarter, so I started pursuing that, and I just, like everything I do, I just dove in, did a book, had no idea what I was doing, no idea how to set up rewards, no any of that stuff, and thank God it didn't make its goal and didn't succeed, because I'm not sure that I could have ever, did the book the way I had it set up.
Yeah.
But from that failure, I learned the right way to do everything. So then I did another Kickstarter that was successful, and from there I've done about 6 years worth of Kickstarters now. Over.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done over. I don't even know. I've done over 10 books on Kickstarter, and had really good success with it. But the last few years, the whole time I've been doing it, I've been watching Indiegogo and Comicsgate and seeing what the guys were doing over here, and just being like, I'm missing out on something here. I need to find out more about this. And that's where my time at Arcana and meeting Mark through Sean Riley, I was like, I saw what Mark and John Malin did, and I'm like, wow, that's like, let's touch bases. This is a guy I know I was, friends with, and we'd worked together. So that's where Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch originated. I had some ideas, and Mark had some ideas, and we're like, hey, these things can work together, and we're both like ready to go, and let's just go and do this book. And some fun characters. We both have a huge love of the 90s comics, and you've seen the art where you can tell what I'm influenced by. Like, we want to relive the 90s fun. Like, Wildcats and Youngblood are like huge influences on me. So that's kind of poured into everything we're doing with Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch, which gets me up to date here now. That's my comic book career right there.
Well, Clint, you want to talk about the book? I can screen share with people.
Absolutely.
What the Indiegogo has in mind. But first, I want to ask you,
Sure.
what benefits, like right off the bat, do you see Indiegogo versus Kickstarter?
Yeah, and I've got a lot of friends in comics. Like, a lot of my buddies made it, and they're like, that's the first question they ask me, because they know I've been doing both now, and they want to know what the difference is. So what I would say is Kickstarter has probably more of an audience if nobody knows who you are. Like, if you're just like a indie guy and you're putting up a book, like the way Kickstarter runs their front page will give you a stronger chance to get noticed if you're not a name guy.
Okay.
If you're, and conversely, Indiegogo, if nobody knows who you are, you probably shouldn't even bother. Like, Indiegogo, if you have a following and an audience, you'll do really good there. Whereas with Kickstarter, if you haven't built that audience, it gives you a chance to kind of build a little bit of your audience. I would say that's the main difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Kickstarter will give the unknown guy a little bit more of a chance. Now, with Indiegogo, if you've got it, this is the other difference, the benefit of Indiegogo, I think. If you have an audience, you have a following, that seems to work way better with Indiegogo. Like, you can take it to the upper limits with Indiegogo, whereas Polito is the exception. Polito knows exactly what he's doing, and he's killing it on Kickstarter. He's killing it on Indiegogo. But I haven't seen the kind of success that people that have a following have had on Indiegogo on Kickstarter.
Okay.
Like some people have gone on Kickstarter and they have a following and they do okay. People that have a following already built up their own audience, they go on Indiegogo and they do phenomenal. So it has, I think the main difference, because I mean, both of them are just like engines that just like you put your product on there and they kind of rotate people through. But I think if you're an unknown guy and you want to build something, Kickstarter is probably your better bet. But if you already have a following and like people kind of know you and you can bring them with you, Indiegogo probably is going to work better for you. So is the main difference that I've seen.
The only thing, yeah, I noticed I've done 2 Kickstarters, and my first Kickstarter, it seemed like they were behind the project, right? So the spotlight and, you know, like all the bells and whistles that they do. So we got all that, and it was a modest success.
Yeah.
And then my second campaign was a big success, like financially. Okay. And I got nothing from them. Yeah. So the weird thing that I was like, are you rewarded for just like virtue points? You know what I mean? Like it almost seemed like they encourage you to kind of get into more of like the life story. Like this is my woes. This is behind. This is the struggle I had, the strife I had to get there. And so my first campaign, I had more of that. The second campaign was more just like, here's the book kind of thing, just very straightforward. So the first campaign, they really got behind, and it didn't do that well. Yeah. The second campaign did better. And I asked them, I called them up because I had contact. And I think her name was Cindy. And I said, Cindy, how come this happened versus this? And she couldn't really answer it. She couldn't answer it. So
yeah. And the thing is weird. Yeah, like, and you've had way more support from Kickstarter than I've ever had. I've never talked to anybody there. I get like their automated automaton emails from them, but I didn't really expect any help from them. But like, it just seems like that front page, that homepage, you launch on a weekend, you get your art out there, and it just seems like you can build interest from just general fans who might not even know you, more so than Indiegogo.
Yeah, I think too, finding things and being turned on to projects, Kickstarter does it a little bit better than Indiegogo. Indiegogo is kind of hard to find things too, to be honest. Like sometimes I'll even type my name in and things. And it's not like, even if you type your name in, sometimes your projects don't show up. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I don't know the name of the project, but I know the name of the artist, and I'll type it in, and it's not intuitive. Nothing else shows up. It's just like the name just stays there.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, but I'm sorry. About Indiegogo is that if you do well, like it's based on, I think a success, like if you do well, the algorithms boost you up. So if you just launch and you're doing well, you're in that top 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like that, because to me, it's a goal and it's a tangible one. It's one that I understand. The Kickstarter one almost seems like it's like virtue points. Like I don't really know how you get there. They can't really explain how I get there. Is it based on sales? Because if it's based on sales, my second campaign did gangbusters. My first one didn't. And I was treated, better the first time out than the second time. So
that's weird.
I don't really know how the Kickstarter, works. And since then, you kind of hear there is some politics and there is some kind of like favoritism that's going on Kickstarter. And so I don't really, it's to me, I would, even though like you go, oh, my book's not selling that well. And I wish it was in the top, 3 slot, like on Indiegogo, but at least you understand, you know what I mean? It's a tangible goal. You go, well, if I sold better, it has nothing against me. It has nothing against the project or anything like that. It will go up, like in a fair way. And that's the thing I like the best about it. And also, I don't know if it is because of name recognition, but it seems like there's less competition in the form of less books on Indiegogo versus Kickstarter. Kickstarter seems like you could really get lost in mix. Yeah.
Yeah, there are more comics on Kickstarter for sure, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing if you can attract attention. Like Kickstarter has got it gives you that really strong push that your opening couple of days, and then it'll push you back to the top your last couple of days, which it's like, your opening weekend and your ending weekend, that's where the money is to be made. And then you can try and do whatever. The middle part is kind of on you. I haven't done enough Indiegogo to know if they do that kind of similar where they push you to the top.
It's the same. Yeah. Indiegogo does similar. And I guess it's how well you do to how long you stay in that top slot. Yeah. But they do. No, go ahead.
That push, especially that opening weekend, being on that front page, those for top 9 or 12 books or whatever, it's like a ton of people see you. And I would say that's the other difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter is I think just general fan base of looking at projects. I would say the volume is a little higher, more regular on Kickstarter than Indiegogo.
I think as it has the bigger name, the brand recognition, which is Kickstarter. Let me ask you though, but besides that, you saw John Malin and that Mark Polton were at Indiegogo. Yep. Why did you make the move and not go with Kickstarter for Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch?
Comicsgate. I was intrigued by Comicsgate. I know they had gotten a bad reputation, but I'm somebody who does a little bit more research than just listening to what somebody says to me. And it's like, they're comic book fans, they're hardcore comic book fans. These are the guys that you're going to meet at a comic book convention that are going to stand in line for an hour and have 20 comic books for you to sign. Those are my people,
Yeah.
And it's like, there can be different politics in comics. You can be a liberal, you can be a Republican, you can be a Democrat, you can be right wing. I don't care about that stuff. I'm not a very political guy. I'm a comic book fan. And I knew there's an audience for that, for what I'm doing. And I think Comicsgate is that audience. It's not just Comicsgate, but I know who those dudes are. Like, I talk to those guys at every comic book convention I go to, and like, they're bad dudes, And so that I knew I had an audience at Kickstarter for sure. I had built a really good audience, and I'd done a ton of books, but I also knew I was missing a huge audience by not having access to Indiegogo and to Comicsgate and not knowing much. I knew a little bit about it, but I wanted to know more. And this kind of was my way of finding out more and getting access to these fans. There's a lot of these fans know my work from different stuff and are already fans of mine, but just didn't know I was doing stuff because they hadn't been on Kickstarter or whatever. So that was probably the biggest thing is I'm an indie comic book guy. I need every fan out there who's interested in my work to buy my book.
Yeah.
I can't afford to just ignore an aspect of fans. I want everybody who's interested in my work to know about it and to have access to it. So I definitely wanted to get in here, show Comicsgate what I was doing, and give them access to the kind of stuff that I was interested in, because I know a lot of it is the same stuff that they're interested in. So that was a huge motivating factor for Codename Killswitch and hooking up with Mark and getting Sea Dog and teaming the two characters up for this book. So
okay. I'm gonna do some screen share here, and we're gonna go to the campaign and check out so people will know just what we're talking about. They can also see your work here as well. So can you see the page?
Yep,
Okay.
I can see it.
Okay, so you want to talk a little bit about it and what the concept is, and
Absolutely.
okay, cool, go for it.
So when I talked to Mark, we wanted to work on something together, and I was already like the second my brain gets going on something, I was already coming up with characters and ideas, and they had huge success with Graveyard Shift, and it was kind of a dark, you know, action oriented, really cool, gritty characters, and I'm like, well, we want to do something similar to that. It's like this has already been successful. I want to create like a cool, gritty team book because I like drawing multiple characters and I have a ton of ideas for characters. And Graveyard Shift definitely is influenced by '90s comics too. And Mark or John worked for Rob and worked on Youngblood and worked on X Force, so like similar influences. So I started kind of going back in the stuff I liked, and obviously Wildcats and Youngblood are a huge influence on me. So I started creating this team, and I mean, it's no secret that like Rob and Jim didn't stray too far from what they loved and what they had already worked on at Marvel when they created Wildcats and Youngblood. I mean, it's X-Men and the Avengers with X-Men thrown in there, basically. So that was kind of the similar theme I was going for with Codename Killswitch. I'm not sure Codename Killswitch could sound any more '90s.
Yeah. And then Sea Dog is Mark
and then Sea Dog is Mark's character, and so when we talked, he's like, "Yeah, I got this character Sea Dog," and I'm like, "Okay." And I mean, he had been created by his son, and it was an interesting character. He was telling me about it, and I'm like, it sounds a little cheesy, like for a little kid, I'm like, I'm not sure, but I'm like, he goes, but I want it to be like kick-ass, like '90s, like X-Men, all that stuff, like you're talking about. And I'm like, well, then let's just design him like that and make him a badass character. And that's kind of what we did. Is I did the designs, and Mark kind of like went over them, and we kind of just built Sea Dog up from scratch based off of his son's ideas. And he's a fun character. He is a rapper that is also a dog, and his name is Sea Dog, as like C dash DAGG, the rapper Sea Dog. And then he is also then he's also the superhero Sea Dog, SEADOG, who is also a dog. But the trick is nobody can figure out his secret identity. There's a dog rapper and a dog superhero, but nobody can figure out they're the same guy, which that's just genius right there.
Yeah, Clark Kent, Superman. Who knew?
Exactly. And I mean, go ahead.
Does Sea Dog love the ocean? Does he just love the open sea?
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole ocean action sequence when they're fighting I think if you scroll down, there's a double page spread coming up right there. They're fighting a kaiju who's Mark's son also designed the kaiju that I based this character, the monster off of. And there's a whole underwater sea action sequence that Sea Dog partakes in right there.
This page is awesome. I love the ocean effects, and that's
our colorist Andrew Dahlhaus, who did some amazing effects on my line work.
Yeah, because that water looks great. Yeah,
yep, he's the colorist for Brett Booth on Bloodshot, and he's worked with Brett Booth for years on Teen Titans and Justice League and just about anything Brett's done after Wildstorm. So Andrew's an amazing colorist, and we're lucky to have him on this book. He's been a friend of mine. He's another grinder through the comic book industry like I am, but just as a colorist, and we've known each other for more than 15 years now, I think. And you got your buddies in comics that you call while you're drawing, and you gossip with about, oh, did you see who just released this, or look, did you see the art on that? That's Andrew for me.
That's awesome. I like the guy that's on. It's like the Deadpool guy that's on the flying motorcycle. That's cool.
Crotch Rocket.
Crotch Rocket. That's right. That's Crotch Rocket.
That is my original character, Crotch Rocket, who is in no way related to or influenced by Deadpool. As long as Rob can't, as long as Rob or Marvel can't sue me.
A little Ghost Rider in there for good measure. That's awesome.
He's not a ripoff of Deadpool if he has his own motorcycle, but yeah, Crotch Rocket came to me in a dream, and I just thought he was the perfect character for the team. So he does seem to be a favorite of a lot of characters.
Did you have a lot of these going into the project with Mark, or did you kind of create them while you were working with Mark on the project?
I had a group of characters, because what I thought was that Mark was gonna, like, Mark had Sea Dog and he was set on Sea Dog already, but and I kind of had a team idea, so I had a group of characters in my head, but I didn't know how many characters Mark was going to have, so I was ready to kind of like ditch some of them and hang on to the ones that I liked. But Mark had Sea Dog and he was really strong on Sea Dog, so that worked out fine with me because I had a little bit of a group already, and it just kind of Sea Dog fit right in there. So it kind of worked out nicely both ways, where I got to do the 90s team kind of comic that I like, and then Mark got like Sea Dog to be real prominent in there and be a focus. So it kind of worked out very well both ways.
So is Sea Dog the outsider of the team? Is he the leader of the team? Like what?
Well, he's both. He's both, because it kind of works out that Sea Dog's the outsider. So the storyline is that Codename Killswitch, their government black ops superhero team, and like superheroes need to be registered in this world, and they're tracking superhuman traffickers. So these are superpowered villains that basically track down people that have like a meta gene that have superpowers, but that aren't really superheroes yet.
Okay.
They basically like human traffic these people. They'll like abduct them and like do research on them and like steal their superpowers, like their genetic, whatever that they can, and like basically sell them to supervillains as, like a way that they can have like a new superpower, or put like their flunkies or whatever, create superpowers for them. So they'll like steal metagene people and steal their powers to give them to supervillains. So Codename Killswitch is tracking down these superhuman traffickers, and that's kind of how our story begins.
Wasn't the blonde, I think Mark was telling me, wasn't she rescued from one of the traffickers or whatever?
Exactly. They're following her because she's been abducted by the traffickers. Her name is Neon, and she has like kind of laser light powers, like laser whips and stuff. She's like kind of like a cross between Dazzler and Halo, almost exactly a cross between Dazzler and Halo. So yeah, she's been abducted. Yeah.
She's got the big 90s hair.
Oh yeah. It's humid. Her hair gets frizzy.
Just like William Katz.
Yeah. Nice throwback. So yeah, they're following the human traffickers who have abducted Neon, and basically this is all happening at Sea Dog the rapper's concert. So he's like there when this.
I didn't see no. Oh, so none of those pages.
Well, we don't have all the pages up yet, so this kind of we're getting before and after pages in there.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's how Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch kind of cross paths. They get into it with these superhuman traffickers, and then Sea Dog has kind of a young boy that gets more in. His Sea Dog is actually a dog, and he gets his powers from this medallion that turns him into Sea Dog.
Is
And
that
so
that's got the anchor around his neck?
exactly. And so the dog's owner is this young boy. So
Wait.
yeah, I know.
So Sea Dog has an owner?
Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome.
No, Mark's every bit of Mark's Sea Dog origin is priceless.
Well, Mark left that out when I was talking to him before. I had no idea that he had an owner.
So Sea Dog's doing all this stuff, and Sea Dog is rapping on stage, the young boy, and he's like a 10-year-old boy who would own a little dog, is on the side of the stadium watching his dog rap. And so when the superhuman traffickers come through, the young boy gets caught up in the mix. So Sea Dog has to save him, but also codename Killswitch has to save Neon. So they need to team up against these villains to rescue both of these young people. So that's kind of where the story evolves out of.
It's got the Big Trouble Little China setup.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Green eyes. She had the green eyes. I have to ask you one thing though, because
Sure.
I when I laugh, I'm excited. So I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
I am not sensitive. I am not a sensitive person, so I do not mind being laughed at or with.
Well, some people mistake it when I laugh. That just means I'm excited about the project. But so is Sea Dog like a real four-legged dog, and then he transforms into the humanoid dog, or is he always okay? So but when he's rapping, I have to ask, when he's rapping, is he the four-legged dog, or is he basically the Sea Dog in the superhero outfit, just without the superhero outfit?
Oh, I was confused about all of this as well until Mark cleared it up for me. So Sea Dog is a four-legged dog. To start out with, he's a four-legged dog, and he was this young boy's dog.
Okay.
And they found the medallion, they put it on Sea Dog, and he turned into the superhero Sea Dog. But then in his secret identity, he is Sea Dog the rapper, who is still a two-legged dog man, but is also a rapper named C, the letter C dash DAWG. That's Sea Dog the rapper. And then Sea Dog the superhero is SEADOG, two-legged superhero dog. I'm not sure if he actually turns back into the little dog, four-legged dog, afterwards or not. We're still hashing out some of the storyline, but
yeah. So he's got an alter ego to his alter ego.
He's got it's a complex origin with him.
I like it. I'm keeping up, man. I love this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. If you're gonna make a and I mean, Sea Dog was created by Mark's 10-year-old son, and it kind of that's the kind of fun a 10-year-old is gonna create in a superhero. So I love every bit of it.
Yeah. And then we have the one, so we have Crotch Rocket on the left in the image, and then over to the right, a kind of a He-Man type of.
Exactly. He-Man / Conan the Barbarian / whoever my other influences with him. But
I think I told Mark when he was on that he's my favorite character.
Oh, well, and Tim Seeley is a good friend of mine, and he is probably one of the #1 He-Man fans in the world, and he's actually writing He-Man right now. And when he saw this, he is like, who is the He-Man character there? Yeah, he is. I'm stalling here because literally his name is slipping my mind right now.
Well, it's weird because with the headpiece and the color of the hair, remember that Marvel character Killraven?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get like a Killraven, Masters of the Universe, Conan kind of vibe from the character. Yeah,
yep.
Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, Killraven is one of those awesome Marvel characters that kind of He's been a little bit underused, but and then Stormborn. I had to do a quick
It's Mark type.
search of my name. His name is Stormborn. So he has kind of a fun origin. So I'll read you his little bio.
Okay.
So Stormborn's real name is Valdric Vashia. Valdric Vashia is either a royal prince of the planet Tharun or a scavenging barbarian wanted for crimes against his people. Either way, he is not of this earth. He claims to have crossed a dimensional gateway to our earth, chasing an evil sorcerer determined to destroy the universe. Our earth and his planet Tharun included.
That's awesome. This is a lot of fun, man. This is just a lot of good superhero comic book fun.
Oh, and I mean that's what I'm all about. Is like I'm about fun characters, creating cool storylines, and I mean I want this book to be a blast for everybody. Create new characters, hot chicks, big bad action dudes, and like really bad villains. And Mark is on the same page as me, so that's definitely what we're shooting for here. So I'm trying to make it as pretty as possible.
Oh, the artwork looks great. So this is like a Harley Quinn type of Domino type character.
Yep, that's Rebel. So she is the character in the foreground in the red with the green hair. That is Soldier 7, and he's kind of like a Captain America super soldier type of character. And like Rebel, she is in the same kind of program as he was, but she washed out of it. She didn't pass her psych exams because she's a little bit crazy, maybe like Harley Quinn. She's definitely Harley Quinn influenced, but she's kind of got her own thing going on also. And she's kind of a badass chick, but yeah, that's her origin. Is she kind of got washed out of the super soldier program, but still got caught in a military experiment that kind of gave her superpowers also.
Okay. Yeah, she looks
but not 100% stable.
She's the loose cannon of the team.
Exactly. That is 100. She's the Wolverine.
Okay, I have to ask you. Okay, Sea Dog has to have one of these two chicks that is like crushing on the guy, right?
I would think so. I mean, he's pretty.
If you think about it, like
girls love dogs.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. Like he's the triple threat because he's not only a cute, adorable dog, but he's also like this rap god, right? That people worship, and then he saves the day as a hero, man. Like who would
a superhero, a rapper, and a dog? That's like the perfect guy for any girl.
Yeah. This may be the archetype of the future for all heroes to come after this.
We might I might have to talk to Mark and work in a little bit of a love story angle in there.
If you did that, man, the funniest thing would be like, there's this whole attraction through the adventure, as the human dog, and then the 10-year-old boy is walking the dog in the park, and then she just happens to be there, but it's all civilian stuff, right? Like she's just in normal clothes, and then they're all, and then she's like, "Oh, who's the little boy? Who's the little man? Come over here." The dog, and he's just like, I'm so humiliated.
it writes itself.
Yeah, either that or he's like, I'm so excited right now.
Oh, wow. You have to be careful.
Yeah. Either way, it's all good. Yeah, so this looks really cool. Okay, here's Crotch Rock gets the ladies' man. It's not Sea Dog. Wait a minute.
That pinup I was shooting for a specific audience there that I thought Comicsgate might enjoy that.
Oh, I think so.
I'm trying to decide if Deadpool was influenced by Deathstroke, and I'm trying to decide with the split mask, and there's a little bit of Iron Fist in there too. So it's like nobody can pin me down to who Crotch Rocket was influenced more by, because you got some Deathstroke in there, and some Iron Fist, you got some Deadpool. So I think I've kind of spread it out enough. I got my bases covered.
And got the Rob Liefeld gun strung on his back.
Oh yeah, yeah. I may have specifically looked at Rob's guns on cable for that, because just a little nod to. Well, there's another thing that I want to ask you about. Is I never realized you were in Rob's studio back in the day.
Oh yeah.
There's got to be a billion stories there that I would love to sit and listen to.
There's a lot of stories, but I feel like some of them don't always put us all in the best of light. So
Oh well, no.
I think
but 25 years ago.
There's a lot of debauchery and things that we do.
Those are the ones that I want to hear.
I know you do.
I'm going to show up at a convention that I know you're going to be at, and I'm going to want to hear these stories.
I'm going to be at a panel, and you're going to ask me all the tough questions.
Oh, no. It won't be at a panel. It'll be when I'm buying you drinks after the show.
Oh, okay. Well, if we're at a bar, I'll tell you the stories.
That's when you get the real good stuff.
Yeah, that's when the good stuff comes out. Yeah. I almost made a deal with you. I was going to say, as soon as you and Mark do that scene I was just talking about with the dog at the park, stories.
We'll work that page in there.
Well, this looks great, man. I really like it. It's like an ode to the 90s, to Image years. And I'm actually really flattered. This looks great, man.
Well, dude, like you are like one of huge influence on me. I'm an immense fan of your work.
Well, thank you, man. And then you have bios here. These look like kind of like trading cards almost. Like there's a front side, and a back side, yeah. Or like a I kind of slapped them together last minute, but then I'm like realized. It's like you throw some pages out there, but nobody knows who the characters are really yet. So this is like a quick, easy way for, just people looking at the book and not sure, to get a little bit of a quick idea of what each of the characters is about, just by, other than just looking at them. So you can't do a book with a code name in the title without doing some kind of classified.
Exactly.
You have to do a dossier of some sort, right?
Yeah, you got all their government dossiers figuring out who each one of the characters is. Yeah, exactly. It worked out perfect.
Yeah, this is good. So what would you recommend as far as age group? Is this a all ages kind of comic?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, this is, there's not going to be anything that couldn't show like an 8-10-year-old kid. This is going to be full on fun, action packed, but nothing, that you wouldn't want your nephew or your little kids can read this comic, but it's also going to be aimed at an older audience. Like little kids will think it's fun. Like if you gave a copy of you and Jim Lee's X-Men, not that I'm saying we're doing that good, but like there's stuff in there for an older audience, but you could show it to a little kid and he would think it's neat.
Yeah, it's just good, clean, straightforward, comic book adventure stuff.
Yep. And there's the girls are going to be pretty,
and the guys are going to be, built.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing vulgar or anything like that. Just fun action, superhero comic book, like Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, like something everybody can enjoy.
Yeah, I want to see more comics like that. That's the stuff I like. It sounds funny when you go good, clean fun or good, clean action adventure, but that's really, it's not that I don't like, like Alan Moore or Watchmen and things like that.
Yeah.
But I also like this stuff that's just fun, straightforward action adventure. And sometimes it just depends on my mood. Sometimes I want something a little bit darker or more gray area, real world stuff. And then sometimes I want pure escapism. And this looks like pure escapism, in the true sense of the word. Yeah.
For sure.
And Rebel.
It always depends on how people are pulling it off too. And so like we're just trying. Yeah, like me and Mark are definitely fans of the '90s fun comics. Like I said, Wildcats and Youngblood are huge influences on me. A ton of the stuff that you worked on in the '90s is a huge influence on me. So we're trying to kind of recapture the stuff that we loved from that era and kind of pour it into this book, definitely.
Well, it shows. It shows there's a lot of love and a lot of thought in here as well. So when you guys get some time, do check out all of these the classified dossier stuff because it's really cool. I saw this earlier, super cool video. This is you like speed drawing, right?
Yeah, I tried to throw something down. I've been trying. I've seen some other artists put this stuff online, and it looks so neat to watch somebody draw live and then speed it up. So this is my first attempt at trying to do something like that.
Well, it looks very cool, my friend. And then here's some more
Yeah.
interior pages. Is this an alternate cover or is this the cover? Because it looks like there's two different covers.
Yep. This is gonna be just end up being a pinup. It was just like This is probably one of the first times I drew the whole team together, but it was just kind of a static shot. So with the cover, I wanted something more action oriented. So I actually drew this first, but then the cover up at the top is what I ended up deciding on, just because I wanted something with a little bit more pizzazz to it than just like a standing team shot. So this will end up just being a pinup in the book.
It's very
But that's actually the first time I drew the whole team together.
And I think I bit on this one because I asked Mark. I was like, "Who drew this one?" This is you.
Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah.
As a freelancer working for just anybody who would pay me, I'm kind of loose with my style depending on what the project needs.
This is kind of like a Dotson kind of.
Very Dotson, Adam Hughes, Frank Cho. Yeah, I was looking at some of those guys when I put that out there.
Is this the same color? This color looks a little different.
No, I colored that one myself.
Okay. Good stuff.
That's the thing that Kickstarter created for me is I can do it all now. Lettering, like from page one to getting the book out to the printer to shipping it. I've done every aspect of making a comic book now, just out of necessity.
Lettering as well, or did you?
Oh yeah, I can letter. And lettering is surprisingly easier than any letterer will let you know that it is.
Wait a minute, I know these guys.
So. Exactly. Here we go.
Yeah.
Graveyard Shift in the House, thanks to John Malin. This was actually his idea to when Mark was talking to him about stretch goals, and John suggested doing a Graveyard Shift Sea Dog codename Kill Switch pinup for a stretch goal. So that was extremely nice of John to let us use his characters. And Andrew's working on coloring this up so that we're going to have it hopefully before the campaign ends. He just actually finished up coloring all of USA Assassins, which is an add-on with codename or Graveyard Shift. But yeah, this is a pinup that's for our first stretch goal. Hopefully, when we hit 7,500, which is not too far away. So hopefully, some of the backers out there tonight will jump on board and we get a little closer to hitting this stretch goal.
Were you channeling Malin a little bit on some of the Graveyard?
I was looking at all of Malin's pages because like that jaw, and he mentioned I didn't do the teeth quite right, and I can see what he's talking about now. But yeah, that skeletal big guy in the middle is an interesting character to draw. So I was trying to keep it as close to what he created. And
is he the Frankenstein kind of stand-in?
I think so. I mean, his face is basically just like a skeletal head. But I kind of gave the teeth too much of an arc. I was trying to go for an underneath shot, but it just looks like they're hanging. They're loose.
It's cool. I was mainly like looking at the way you did the hair, the style, and then some of the rendering, especially on the armor and on the one character. Is it Vlad that's in the background on his abs? Looks a little different than some of the line work on some of the other. So I thought maybe you were doing a little ode to Graveyard Shift here.
I might have just been speeding it up to get it done.
It's good stuff, man. So that one's at the colors. What are you going to use this? Is this going to be a pinup or a variant cover?
Yeah, that's going to be a print for the. If we hit the stretch goal at 7,500, everybody will get that print included with the book.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
And so, are these more interior pages or what is?
Yep, that's an interior page there.
Wow, you're actually previewing a lot of work here. So that some of these guys are pretty stingy with their interior stuff, but I like to see, what I'm getting. Hey, who is this? This is
there is the creator of Sea Dog.
Yeah, he's missing a hand.
so that is the hockey jersey that is one of the rewards. I think at the $100 or the $125 level, that is the hockey jersey you can get with your reward, and it's pretty neat that Mark put that in there because it's kind of cool seeing your character's face on a hockey jersey like that.
Yeah, it's like the first licensing. I want to do so much more of that, but you always have to walk before you run.
Yeah,
you have to kind of IP that has that kind of built-in audience, at least for me, I feel, and then start coming out with some more licensing type stuff. I have had people ask me, it's like, are you going to do t-shirts? You're going to do t-shirts? I'm like, I don't know how much support t-shirts would I would get.
I'm always hesitant about clothing because I want something to be really popular before you're selling t-shirts and jerseys and that one.
Yeah, because
Mark
that sells like 2 t-shirts, that
Mark had a deal set up with this and it was a good deal, so it'll work out either way, and like some people can get some really nice jerseys, and it backs a really cool book, so it's a good setup.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it is kind of cool. I have done t-shirts, so I'm not saying I'm above it or anything, but what is cool is, let's just say, God, how many, I think maybe I sold 10 or 15 t-shirts on one of the Kickstarters, and I did a lot of conventions that year, and at 2 of the shows, people came up with those t-shirts on. You know what I mean?
Cool.
I don't know if you're like me, but when I see that stuff, I'm just like, yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
And that
100%.
Yeah. And that was a pretty cool moment there. So yeah, maybe you don't move a lot of stuff, but there's those people that have those t-shirts. Those are the fans. Those are the ones that really, really are your fans.
100%. Like there'll be guys that bring up, and I mean, I'm sure you've signed a million things, and I haven't done as much as you, and I'm not, comparing us, but like somebody will bring up a book that I did like 10 years ago or something, and I'll look at it and I'm like, oh man, I remember this book, and I'll remember like specific things, but it is so cool to have like somebody know that I was going to be at the show, dig out some comic book that I did 10 years ago and make sure that they get it signed for me. It's like, that's probably one of the best feelings in comic books there is.
Yeah, because it goes beyond just the, go to the store and pick up the book. I mean, like you said, they're schlepping it around. And sometimes, like some of these bigger shows, that's a lot of work, man.
Oh, yeah.
All the crowds and how big the show is and everything.
Absolutely.
I'm still taken aback by it, and I never ever it's always overwhelming, I guess, as well.
Yeah. You don't ever take that for granted. It's like, man, this guy likes what I do, and that's just always a nice feeling because what you put into it, and to have somebody appreciate it like that, that's like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. So we have Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch book 1 from the writer co-creator of Graveyard Shift comes Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch book 1. So Mark Polton is the writer, and you, Clint, the artist, and we're at 6,705. You have 120 backers. You've already made your fixed goal, but you know as well as I do, that's always just the start, man. That's like printing and the money to go to Indiegogo. Other than that, it's not going to pay for much.
Yep. We've got enough to do the book and like be broke.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to start low and then try to build it so it seems tangible. But the reality
absolutely
is always, realistically speaking, 25K, you can start making everything work. At a minimum, that's usually where these things work best. So you only have 12 days left, so a little under 2 weeks, which is still a lot of time. I mean, I think you guys could still, because let's round this up, 7K. So if you got 13, has this been, how long has it been going for so far?
November 1st, we launched.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did like basically 2 months straight into New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Which people have told me is not ideal timing, and I like, you make mistakes and that's how you learn. I mean, going into Christmas and Christmas Eve and New Year's for our last week might hurt us a little bit, but you just plug on and go for it.
Yeah, and don't underestimate your fan base. Don't underestimate.
Oh, absolutely.
Your alliance, I guess. I don't know what to call it. With Comics Game, because the fans are really, really good, and
they are.
I think like Chrono was up to like the last week. It just caught fire. Like it just caught fire, and man, every day for about 5-6 days, it was going really, really strong. And I was just totally taken aback by it. So you really never know what these things are going to do. And the thing is, you just keep plugging. You just keep plugging because you just
100%.
Yeah, you just don't know who you're connecting with, how much of a fan base you are connecting with, all those things, because there's just no way you could know. So keep the good fight. You guys are in a good place. What is your ideal dollar amount? Do you guys have one for this project?
It was. I mean, if we hit 10 or 12, like, that would be great. I would be, obviously anything more than that would be great. But if we hit 10, we're good. We can do it with where we're at now, but I'm hoping for a nice push at the end.
Yeah,
and
Have you talked about in demand at all?
I think we're thinking about it. I mean, it'll really depend on where we end up at, and like I kind of defer to Mark a little bit just because, like I said, I haven't done much with Indiegogo, and he knows it a little bit better than I do. So I think we're going to push towards the end, and then we'll see where we end up at. But I mean, we'll kind of play it by ear as we go.
I hear you. Yeah. I went all the way up till the last moment to make my decision, because I told everybody, I was like, if we can hit 25K on Chrono Mechanics, then we can make everything work. And then it went beyond 25K, and we're like 27 and a half right now. And I was like, holy shit. Like it just seemed like out of the blue, like all this support and everything rallied. So I just got a lot of people too that, because of the rally and because of the energy, and this happens almost every campaign. You've run enough, like the last couple days. Yeah, it builds and builds and builds. And so they were messaging me, and they were saying, please keep it in demand, because it is Christmas. things
Oh,
right now, but we do want a copy and we want to have access to it. So please keep it open. So there's also that to think about, because there could be fans right now of your book that are just kind of weighing it. You know what I mean? Like, do I get my kids presents, or do I get them, dog and kill switch,
or paycheck is next week, and then I can buy like this paycheck is for the bills, and next paycheck's for my fun stuff. I've had fans like that, and I get it, because I am one of those guys too.
Yeah. I mean, you want to get these books, but at the same time, you have reality.
Exactly. Reality is always slapping you in the face.
I hate reality. Reality is a bitch. I don't like reality at all.
No.
If I could live full time in fantasy, I'd live in fantasy.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
like you went. Did you on Ethan's channel right at the end there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he's so generous. Such a cool guy.
He is.
People say shit about him. I don't know. I don't know where they're coming from. Just watch that guy's show. I mean, thing is,
there's a lot of jealousy revolving around Ethan, I think.
Yeah, but we did. I think Wednesday we did a show. As we were rallying the last couple days, Wednesday, and he was drunk, and I think I was really tired. So
hey, that's the best way to run a show.
Yeah, till midnight. Yeah, and so then he said, "Don't worry, Art." He messaged me and he said, "We'll rally the last day." He said, "We'll see this thing through." And I was like, "Holy crap!" Like, how many people in this industry would say, "I'll give you 3 hours of my time"? Like you know this, Clint. I know this.
I do.
Money, who gives a shit? My time is worth way more, because as well as I do, everything we do goes down to minutes, sometimes seconds, like for deadlines, things like that. You know how much you can do like in a half hour. You know how much work.
Do you know what time the FedEx office used to close by you?
Yeah. You know all that stuff. You even know the backup to FedEx. You know that you could go Delta next, or was it Delta? And no, it's TWA next.
Oh, that is even beyond me. That is beyond me. I knew when FedEx shut down.
Yeah. Well, this was in the salary days when Marvel would pick up $100 plane fee to get them a page for X-Men. Yeah. So we were working up. Clint, we were working up to the last possible minutes, and with TWA, I think it was TWA Next and Delta Dash. I lived in the South Bay, so I lived real close to LAX. We would finish the pages, we would drive them almost to the tarmac, right? We'd hand these guys the box, and for somehow a miracle would happen. They would have it to the Marvel offices the next morning.
That is insane.
Yeah, and it was expensive, but those books were making a crap ton of money. So the other way. But yeah,
when that stuff's selling, it's like, I'll drive to the tarmac. I don't care.
Right. We had at Hack Studios. If people don't know, I still have the studio, but it's not quite what it used to be. And so I would have
started up and need an anchor.
I'll give you a call. A virtual studio, virtual Hack Shack Studios. And so one of the guys that worked here, and I just reconnected with him recently. His name's Christopher Lewis, and I used to call him Mr. Topper, Chris Topper. And so his dad worked for one of the airlines. So we were pushing a deadline on, I think it was X-Men 13. And so he's like, "Hey, Art," he said, "I'm going to give my dad a call." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I can fly standby anytime I want. So if you need a few extra hours, I can give it to you." And I was like, "Holy shit." He goes,
"I was going to fly LA to New York standby."
Wait. I'm not done. This is epic, dude. And so we did. We worked all the way up to that time. I drove him to the airport. He was on standby. He got on the flight, and he hand delivered to Bob Harris the pages for X-Men 13. Can you imagine your editor's face? Like, hi, I work with art at Hack Studios. Here's your pages. It's like, how
And
do you?
you were penciling and inking this, right?
Yeah,
X-Men 13.
yeah. He's like, how did you? He's like, well, my dad works for whatever airlines, and I flew on standby, and I got over to here.
Holy.
Yeah,
That's going above and beyond as an assistant.
yeah, no, he was a great guy. I think he's designing toys or something. I talked to him, so I got to find out details. Very, very talented guy, and reality got in the way and kind of, sidetracked him. But I'm going to connect him over the Christmas holiday and see where he's at, because it sounds like he's still being creative, on some level. Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, there's always the toy design and video game character design stuff for when comics isn't going to quite cut it for you. So it kind of seems like those are fallback positions for a lot of comic book artists, depending on the scenario.
Yeah, I used to kind of moonlight, and I did advertising work for.
Sure.
They were called something frames. Famous Frames, I think, was the company. And so I remember some of it was just like BS work. Like Porsche was pitching new bucket seats for their cars. And so they just needed drawings of bucket seats, just ink drawings of bucket seats, right? I just do.
From Porsche, that's good money.
Yeah, 10 of them, right? And it would pay me for a whole month of comic book work, I remember there was some yacht company, and they just wanted a series of like nautical knots. Like so it's a boat, like yachts, and they just wanted a series of knots. So I drew up ink, I did that and got paid for whatever, full month of comic work. My biggest claim to fame advertising wise was it was the Gran Turismo for the video game. I think Gran Turismo, it was like a driver's manual, like an auto driver's manual. And so I drew it all up graphically like it was, one of the driver's manual. And then I don't know if they have them all over the place, but it was like Der Wiener Schnitzel, like that chain.
Yeah.
And so what was his name was the Wiener Dude or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And so they did a series of like superhero Der Wiener Dudes. And so I drew up like this little comic strip, and they put it on all the those little paper mats that they put on the fast food trays.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so it was the
Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah. Man, it's nuts, man. It pays so much money, but it's soulless work. If you guys want to know how much I love comic books, I could be a rich man right now if I stayed in advertising.
Oh yeah, I'm just drawing crap. One of the best paying jobs I ever had. I was drawing asparagus, like literally asparagus growing out of the ground, asparagus tips.
Really?
For a planting book. It was a book about planting whatever stuff in your garden. Right. They wanted everything hand drawn, and I got notes on how the asparagus should look.
You got notes.
Yeah, but the paycheck was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was young, and I'm like, I'm not going to draw asparagus for the rest of my freaking life. And that was that. But yeah.
The asparagus have superpowers. Now you're talking.
Exactly. We could work with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rob is
the weird drawing jobs that come along. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to get a little plug in for Rob. Rob's digging your book.
Oh, Rob. Yep. We did Mandy's show. And isn't Mandy freaking awesome too? Rob's got his book going on now, and he could use all the love he could get going on there. So everybody.
What's his book?
It is classrooms. Oh, my memory sucks. Classroom of the Dead, I think.
Okay. Anybody in the chat, if you're still there, Rob, chime in and we'll give you a little bit of a push here too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you do Mandy's show a while back?
Yeah, a lot of fun, man. She's a lot of fun, and
She's a hoot. She's a hoot. She's a nice little ray of sunshine.
yeah, and she's just so generous. And
Absolutely.
this is horrible. I'm trying to think of the guy that co-hosts it with him, the British guy.
Gilmore.
Eric?
Something Gilmore.
Peter Gilmore.
Peter Gilmore, yeah.
Yeah. Great guy. He did a caricature of me, like in Kiss garb. And
cool.
It's all painted up and stuff. So he did that for the show, and I still have it. It's one of those things. I'll just stash it away.
Yeah.
Memory box or whatever. I don't know if you have this. I have, because you and I predate the internet, and everything's now digital. But I have just a room full of all this old memory stuff. I did 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
I got boxes of old drawings.
Yeah, submissions, but also just like cool things, like somebody makes a design, like a T-shirt out of one of your designs, or keep and things. Yeah, one of the I used to have it on my shelf. I did one of the key trading cards for what is it called? Oh my gosh, it's the character from Top Cow. That's the like, she's like a mermaid, but she doesn't have the mermaid tail. Holy shit, I can't remember.
Top Cow
starts with an A. Gosh, come on, chat.
Aphrodite? No.
It's something like that. But yeah, this is horrible that I can't remember the name, but I had it on my shelf for a long time, and it was just pencils. I did it really loose with pencils, and then one of the Top Cow guys colored it all up real nice, and it really came out good, and it was one of the key cards for the set. Oh my God.
Neat.
What is her name? She's like the surfer chick. You see her? She's got the they still publish the book, I think.
Fathom?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Fathom. That's it. Thank you. And yeah, that was pretty darn cool. So I still have that card somewhere.
Before I forget, Art.
What's that?
What was your very first inking gig?
My very first inking gig was I inked Jose Delbo on the Marvel Star line of books, and it was the Inhumanoids from the cartoon show.
Starline Inhumanoids. Is this like early or mid 80s?
Probably early mid 80s. Yeah, probably like 83, 84.
Humanoid Star. Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was a short-lived cartoon show, and they had a storyline. Yeah, so like Heathcliff, they had a lot of the cartoon characters.
Oh, Heathcliff. Okay, so it was like the Saturday morning cartoon stuff.
Yeah, like a line of books, like comic books that were based on the.
I remember Heathcliff because he was such a bad Garfield ripoff that.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys did not even try on it.
Yeah, I look back and I go, man, I dodged that bullet, because at least in Inhumanoids, God, I was on somebody's show and they were going crazy. They're like, "You worked on the Inhumanoids? Wow, I love that concept. I love the toys and everything." And there was like this character, and he was like this giant bone character. Like, he looked like a dinosaur, but he was all bones, and he could put the characters in his chest. Like, he could open up his chest, his rib cage, he could put the characters in there, and I think they would just dissolve. Like,
so he was just designed for an action figure, basically.
Yeah, I think he dissolved, like acid would pour down on him or something like that. Like,
wow.
Some kind of like digestive, I guess, whatever. Juices would lay down on him and melt him. Yeah,
whatever's burning through them.
Yeah, as a kid, as a young kid, you're like, yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah. No, when you're 10, that's awesome. Like, you want stomach juices burning the bad guys.
I think that character was the bad guy though, so he'd do that with like.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I think I'm not sure.
what is there's a character in comics now. Oh, there's like a character where like they abduct the little kids and they put them like inside their rib cage. Like their rib cage is like a cage. I can't remember what. I think it's a DC character, but
Yeah,
it's similar to what you're talking
I think
about.
it was something like that. But I think if he didn't really like you, he would like rain down the
Just
oddly
melt you with the stomach acid.
stomach juices. Yeah, yeah. There you go. Well, gosh, we've been talking for almost 2 hours now.
That is flown by, man. I could do this once a week, man. It's so much fun talking with you, man.
Yeah, it was easy talking to you as well. So I'm going to try to figure. It's always tough to try to wrap these up because I do always feel like I want to keep talking. But everybody in the chat, we have Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch, book 1. So I assume there's going to be a book 2.
Yep, and actually you can get the ash can with preview pages of book 2 in one of the reward tiers. So definitely check that out.
Okay, I'm going to go back and see if we've gone up and give people a last look at the book. So we have Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch. Man, my nose is running like crazy. I don't know why. Maybe I'm catching a cold. I'm going to hit this refresh.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, woohoo!
We got some backers, man. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Art.
Oh,
that's
no,
awesome.
I didn't do anything, but you are welcome.
No,
it's all the chat.
It's a treat being on your show, man. It is.
Very
and
cool.
like this is the nice thing about Comicsgate. Like what you were saying about Ethan is exactly how I feel about you having me on your show, man. It's like you've been in this industry, you've worked on like some of the biggest projects. Like people have classic comics in their prized possessions that you worked on in their collections, and it's so nice for a creator like you to have me on your show because you've got a bigger audience than me, and it's just very beneficial that you share that with guys that are trying to do similar stuff. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, man. It's my pleasure. And just remember, man, pay it forward. So when you get
absolutely
bring new talent, because I think that's what's going to keep this whole movement going is fresh talent, and then people sharing platforms as much as possible with others, and try to kind of lift everybody up, and also just give our viewers like new product. Like look at the cool stuff that's coming out, and books that you can pick up and read. And you guys have done this for a long time. You and Mark have a pretty good resume yourself, so you've earned this, and you've worked for a long time. So continued success on this. Let me stop sharing. I'll come back, and congrats on that. That's pretty cool. Thanks everybody in the chat.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Clint for coming on, and thanks Mark. I think we have. Oh, this is Classroom. Oh, here.
Oh, yeah, that was the book I was talking about earlier, Rob's book.
So we have a link here. So click on the link, go out, back this book. It's pretty killer. And I have one quick plug. Let me see if I can find it. So Chrono Mechanics is now in demand. So after you go check out Kill Switch, please come by. And if you have any loot left, Chrono Mechanics. But ours is less dire. Kill Switch is still live, so go there. And Chrono is going to stay in demand at least, till February, March of next year.
Chrono is awesome, so don't miss out on it. If you haven't picked up Chrono yet, definitely get it.
Thanks, brother. Thanks. And go back, Sea Dog. All right, man. Sea Dog out. Thanks again, Clint. Take care.
Yep.